Right now, as you're watching this, there is an NFL game being broadcast somewhere in America where the ball has been in play for a grand total of 11 minutes. 11 minutes of actual football inside a 3-hour broadcast that contains 152 commercials, more ads than plays from scrimmage. That is the sport Americans chose over soccer, because soccer was boring. And the story of how that happened, how an entire country was deliberately taught to believe that, involves a rigged referee, a missed Pele goal, and a scientific discovery about your brain that flips the whole argument on its head. Something that most sports fans find genuinely difficult to believe the first time they hear it. I've got 8 reasons the soccer is boring take is not just wrong, it's almost the exact opposite of what's actually true. Stay with me from beginning to end, because number 5 is a neuroscience finding that researchers at Princeton didn't expect. And number 8, the last one, is the reason half the planet loses its mind over this sport, and Americans are only now starting to understand why. Reason number 1, you're not watching sports, you're watching commercials. Here's a table no one shows you. The Wall Street Journal measured how much live action actually happens in each major sports broadcast. Soccer, 58 minutes of action in a 2-hour broadcast. 50% of what you're watching is the game. The NFL, 11 minutes of action in a 3-hour broadcast. 5.8%. Baseball, 18 minutes. So when an American says soccer is boring because nothing happens, what they're really saying is they prefer a sport where the ball is in play for less time than it takes to boil pasta. One researcher counted the ads in a 2014 NFL game. 152 commercials. More ads than plays. You are literally watching a commercial broadcast with occasional football, and you're calling the sport with 5 times more action boring. Reason number 2. A referee was physically holding a player on the ground so CBS could finish running an ad. This actually happened. 1967, the first year of professional soccer on American television. CBS needed commercial breaks, but soccer doesn't stop. So they strapped a signaling device to referee Peter Rhodes and told him to manufacture fouls whenever the network needed an ad. He admitted that 11 of the 21 fouls he called in one game were completely fake. And at one point, a Toronto player tripped and fell. Rhodes whistled a foul for the commercial break. When the player started getting back up before the ad was done, Rhodes pushed him back down to the ground, physically held him there. The league's solution? They didn't stop doing it. They just had referees wave a red handkerchief, openly, to signal they were pausing the game for money. Americans didn't reject soccer. The broadcast model rejected soccer because it couldn't sell enough ads during it. Reason number 3. 10 million people tried to watch Pele's American debut, and CBS made them miss every single highlight. 1975. Pele signs with the New York Cosmos. Biggest name in sports history arrives in America. 10 million viewers tune in. They miss his assist. CBS was on a commercial break. They miss his only goal. CBS was replaying an earlier foul while the live game continued. The most exciting player on earth came to America, and the network literally could not figure out how to show him to you. Reason number 4. A soccer player makes more decisions in 5 minutes than an NFL player makes in an entire game. This one stops people cold. Researchers tracked Premier League players and found they execute 2,100 actions per match, averaging 22 decisions per minute. Each one processed in under 600 milliseconds. That's faster than a blink. Now compare. An NFL game has about 120 plays, each lasting 4 seconds, split across 22 players. A soccer player makes more cognitively loaded decisions before halftime than most NFL players make all season on a per-game basis. And here's the part that gets wild. Professional players make 56% more decisions per match than academy-level players in the same 90 minutes. Elite soccer doesn't just run faster physically, it runs at a higher cognitive clock speed. The boring sport is actually the most mentally demanding team sport on Earth. Reason number 5. This is the Princeton finding I mentioned. Your brain gets a bigger hit from a soccer goal than a three-pointer. And it's not close. Researchers at Princeton put fans in fMRI machines and watched their brains while they watched live sports. They found that surprise, not scoring frequency, is what drives dopamine release and enjoyment. The correlation was 0.82. In science, that's enormous. Here's why that matters. A basket in the NBA arrives every 28 seconds. Your brain expects it. Small dopamine response. response. A soccer goal arrives once every 32 minutes from continuous, unpredictable action. Your brain does not see it coming. Massive prediction error. Massive dopamine spike. Low scoring isn't a flaw. It's a feature. It's why a goal in the 90th minute of a World Cup match makes entire countries lose their minds, while a three-pointer in the second quarter of an NBA game makes you check your phone. Your brain is literally wired to find soccer more rewarding per event than any high-scoring sport. The boring argument is neurologically backwards. Reason number 6, you're watching the wrong thing. A 2025 study found that elite players can predict where a corner kick will land 150 milliseconds before the ball is even kicked. Not by watching the kicker, by reading the movement patterns of the attacking players running into position. Casual viewers stare at the ball. Experts watch the 21 players without it. Johan Cruyff said it best. What do you do during those 87 minutes when you don't have the ball? That's the actual game. It's invisible to anyone who doesn't know what they're looking at, which is exactly why Americans think nothing is happening. Reason number 7, soccer gives people heart attacks. Baseball literally lowers your blood pressure. The New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most prestigious medical journals on the planet, documented a spike in cardiac emergencies during the 2006 World Cup. Not because Germany lost, not because they won. The emotional intensity alone was enough to trigger cardiovascular events regardless of outcome. Now, here's the kicker. A separate study tracked fans during the World Series and NFL playoffs. Baseball fans showed a statistically significant drop in blood pressure compared to their baseline. Watching playoff baseball made them more relaxed than doing nothing. So, by the only metric that can't be faked, your own heartbeat, soccer is objectively more intense than every sport Americans watch instead of it. Reason number 8. I saved this one for last because it belongs last. This isn't about data. It's about what happens when everything in this video collides into a single moment. May 13th, 2012, final day of the Premier League season. Manchester City trails 2-1 in the 90th minute. Their rivals have already won. The title is gone. 48 years of waiting, gone. And then Edin Dzeko scores in the 92nd minute. And then, and I need you to watch the footage if you haven't, Sergio Aguero picks the ball up near midfield in the 94th minute, drives forward, and buries it into the bottom corner. The stadium doesn't cheer, it detonates. The commentator, Martin Tyler, abandons language entirely. Grown men are sobbing in the stands. That is what low scoring does. That is what 90 minutes of tension and uncertainty and nothing happening builds toward. Every single second of that match mattered, because any second could have been the one that changed everything, and one of them was. That moment is structurally impossible in basketball. It's impossible in baseball. It is only possible in a sport where goals are rare, time is continuous, and the entire emotional weight of a season can land on a single kick in the final seconds. That's not boring. That's the most dramatic thing in sports. Here's my question for you, and be honest. What's the single greatest sports moment you've ever witnessed live or on television? The one where you physically left your seat. The one where the room went silent or erupted. Was it a routine play in a high-scoring game? Or was it something rare? Something that came out of nowhere after a long, unbearable stretch of not knowing what was going to happen next? Tell me in the comments. What was the moment? What sport was it? And did it feel boring?